Wildfire, yeah, all right. Forever Red. She knows her stuff.
There was a big thing in my butt. Don't tell anybody I said that.
Well, it's a real pleasure to have you here. And can we go right back to the beginning? Like, did you ever see how influential, how enduring the Power Rangers is going to be? Like, I mean, we're here, we're still talking about the Power Rangers, and you're here with us.
Yeah, I mean, it blows my mind 30 years later that we can sit here and I can talk to you now as adults. Some of you were hiding behind your mom's legs, you know, you were 4, 5, 6, 9, little ones. And now we're sitting here as just bigger children talking about the same thing 30 years after. And, you know, some of your parents loved the show because we were the best babysitter that they had. Others of them hated the show because it was so violent. And to all of those parents, you should say, but you watched Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner. That was violent. And now some of you are raising your own children and you're showing them the show, showing where it all started. And now Netflix has taken 700 episodes plus, less, give or take, I don't know, a lot off of Netflix, and now the only one on there is MMPR. So, and now we're looking at another reboot, and there's talks, all kinds of talks. I don't know which talks are the right talks, but lots of people are talking about what they should do next and who should be in it and the way it should go. So I had no idea, and I'm still clueless. I'm always waiting for the next thing.
So what do you think the secret is? Like, why is your fan base still so active? I mean, is it that generational appeal, growing up, showing your kids something cool that you had?
If I told you a secret, I would have to kill you.
I think you could do it too.
Very important, the secret of Great Russian Mafia. I mean, Power Rangers, sorry, that's another problem. I think the secret is that we didn't limit any of the characters, not the men, not the women. We didn't limit them by sex, we didn't limit them by race, we didn't limit them by color. It was open. Everybody was their own hero by their own right. So whether you watched because you loved Kimberly, or Jason, or Zach, or Billy, or Trini, there was somebody there for you guys to identify with. And in later seasons, you know, even more of that's true. I think we've had so many different people from all around the world representative of so many different anthropological backgrounds that just make the show unlike so many others. And we had live action, and we had robots, and we had really cool guitar music. And we destroyed the city every day and then rebuilt it for the show the next day. I mean, who else does that?
So how were you cast? How did that come about?
I went to the audition on a $20 bet.
Okay, that's a story.
I was a kid. I was in high school. I was legitimately a high school kid with attitude. And I taught martial arts. I played football. And one of my first martial arts students in Whittier came to my dojo, and he was an acting coach, a commercial acting coach. His name was Bob. And Bob, was like, hey, I run an acting school. We have tons of people. You should come up and take some acting classes. I was like, no. I don't like cameras, don't like large groups of people. I don't want anything to do with that. I'm an introvert. I like my privacy. See, like other people, my wife, she's loco. She loves everybody. She's like, put her in the party and she's having a great time. For me, I'm like, you go to the party, I'll read a book, go to the gym, pet the dogs, train the dogs, work out, whatever. So he was like, you should come to the class and take some classes. I said no, and he goes, well, if you came and took some classes, you'd meet a lot of my students, and maybe you could pull some new students into your dojo. And I went, aha. All right, you got a deal there. So I showed up and definitely got more students, and they came to my dojo, and I was doing great. And things were great. About 3 weeks into it, he starts bugging me. He's like, hey, I heard about an audition. They're looking for teenagers with attitude that have martial arts, gymnastics, and other cool abilities. You should go. And I was like, no. And 3 weeks he nagged me, go, go, go. I was like, no, no, no. And finally he says, I'll bet you $20 you won't be wasting your time if you go to the audition. I went, unlike now, gas was 92 cents a gallon. I could get a loaf of bread and some bologna. I had like lunch meat for a week and gas. So I was like, I'll take you 20 bucks. So I went to the audition, and there were about 10,000 people that tried out for the first series. It was called Phantoms, and I lost 20 bucks. The show changed its name from Phantoms. My character's original name was Victor, which, how weird, can you imagine? Victor the Red Ranger, anybody? No, I mean, that sounds like something in like a telenovela from Latin America. Kimberly, I'm going to need you to pull the Megazord around the front. It is time for us to go to battle. Oye, amigos. Like, how weird would that have been, right? Kimberly, what do you mean you will not go out with me tonight? You know, like that's just... Yeah. Dígame qué pasó.
So, yeah.
See, Spanish novellas, it gets you every time.
Is this that foreshadowing thing you were talking about?
No, there's more to come. There's more to come.
So, your background in martial arts, you've got a black belt in Taekwondo, black belt in Judo, is that correct? Where did that come from? Like, how did you get into that?
Well, my dad was a martial artist. I started at 5 with my father. Then he went to war. In a war probably none of you have even heard of. It was in El Salvador against the FNLN. And they were trying to overthrow the government, so they needed American intelligence officers and special forces guys to go down there, and my dad did. So anyway, he deployed, and then I couldn't train with him. So my mom, thinking my crazy 5-year-old son needs discipline, and not that my mom was a retired cop. Dad was a Marine, so discipline was bountiful in my house. But she thought, let me get him some more. So she took me in New Mexico down the main street and signed me up for judo. And I went in at 5. Everyone else was 11 and up. And I got beat up a lot until I figured out that being shorter and smaller than all these 11-year-olds was actually an advantage. And then I learned how to destroy people, and it was great. So judo was my first martial art. As a Marine, my father had us all over the world, so it was either quit martial arts or take whatever's available wherever we land. So I've probably been through 23 different systems now in my 37 years in the arts. And I blacked in Kenpo, Taekwondo, I had my second dan, and Chungdokwan Taekwondo, which doesn't even exist anymore, because now it's all World Taekwondo Federation, World Taekwondo Organization, and stuff like that. And then I picked up some others, and I train all the time, all over the place. But I think the difference between me and a lot of martial artists today, not all of them, but a lot of them, is I don't run my mouth. You're not gonna ever see videos of me on social media challenging somebody or calling them a bunch of names. Who would I be talking about? I have no idea, right? I just don't do that, because I believe one of the traits of a real martial artist is humility, inner strength, and not, biceps, but I mean fortitude, inner strength, which helps build character and integrity and gives you the ability to persevere through hard times. I don't think those are things you should just memorize when you go into the dojo or the dojang. Those are things that you memorize, take to heart, and operate with every day in life. And there are a lot of martial arts today, or martial artists today, that may have some of those things, or even all of those things. But there's also a good majority that spend all their time running their mouths, hyping up the internet, looking for those feeds, wanting all these responses, challenging other fighters, like 4th graders, 5th graders at school where I went. And that, in my mind, that's none of what I teach, nor is it any of what I learned from some of my greatest senseis, sifus, and masters.
So dad's a Marine, mom's a cop, a lot of discipline in the family, but it also sounds like you're talking about a lot of service. And did that factor into your decision to become a first responder?
Yeah, a lot of things kind of led me down that road. Mom's a cop, dad's a Marine. Brother went into the Marine Corps. That wasn't until later, but my brother eventually became Marine. He was a recon Marine, and then he got out and he became an LAPD cop. This was my little brother, 6 years younger than me. When I left the show at 18, I'd come from my grandfather, World War II bomber pilot. Almost all of my family for generations had served something greater than themselves. Can you think of that as a statement? That's a statement, right? To serve something greater than yourself. What does that mean? You give up the pepperoni on a pizza when there's 3 people in the group because somebody doesn't like pepperoni? That's not it. You know, oligarchy means exactly to serve oneself. Well, the oligarchy is what led the Protestant Reformation. All the Protestants left England and came to America. That was the early, I mean, if you discount the Indians and the Vikings and other people who got there first, that was what really lent itself to the building of America. So to serve oneself, the opposite of an oligarchy, whether you're serving in 911, whether you're serving in the military, whether you are a mom or a dad or a brother or a sister or a grandson or a grandparent, the idea of serving something greater than yourself is all around us, but oftentimes today it's discounted. You know, and I don't know how it is here in Canada, but in America, a lot of folks are putting their parents in old folks' homes. I just did a film with John Schneider called Tres Leches. It is rated R. Heads up, warning in advance. Those of you looking for wholesome, this is not it. It is rated R comedy. I play a super stupid, do we have kids in the room?
We do.
Oh, okay, so I'll be more careful. So I play a super stupid Southern cop who is trying to catch a teenage boy that, how to phrase this, had relations with my wife. But I'm too dumb to catch him. And he's dumb enough that he thinks he can drive from Baton Rouge to the Philippines for 50 cents a mile. So I'm still too stupid to catch that guy. That says something. So it's a comedy, it's fun, it's out there. Check out John Schneider Studios or Cineflix and you can find that, or Google it. And I did another film, much more family oriented. It's on Amazon. It's called Walk with Grace. And it's a dramedy, still trying to learn all these new words. Yeah. But I play a wrestling coach. I have a great supporting role. I associate produce the film. And I play a wrestling coach with PTSD who is the conscience of the lead who left small town America and went and got big and famous in LA and forgot about his roots and his core values. And I kind of give him grief and help him get back there along with a couple other buddies. That one's cute. You want to watch that one? The guys with girlfriends, wives, anybody? Brownie points. They're gonna like that one. And then for those of you with the littles, I got called to pick up a small role in a film that was already shooting. The guy didn't show up. It was with Misha Baron and some soap opera guy who was supposed to be the dad. And they were like, hey, would you pop in and help save our film? It's filming now. This guy didn't show up. It's just like, we need you for 2 days to play a dad and a couple of scenes. So I'm in the whole film for like 15 minutes. And I'm the dad of a group of kids who run around in closets and get bad guys out of closets in the neighborhood. And then in the end, there's a surprise. So it's called Monsters at Large. You can find that on Amazon. That was fun. Other than that, I have an online store. I ship to 240 countries around the world. I'm a published author. I've written on the martial arts.
Oh, there you go.
You guys, you're twisted. I knew it. All right. Yeah, you'll be watching the rated R movie I told you about earlier. Okay. All right. So there's this guy. He shows up. And he shows up at my table and he comes to me, he's like, hey man, I'd like for you to sign my butt. And I said to myself, I don't know if I really want to sign his butt. And then I was thinking, I think I'm gonna skip this. So he looks at me, he goes, all of the other guys, except for you and Karen Ashley, have already signed my butt. Now I'm getting creeped out.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're telling me you've got all of my co-star signatures on your backside? And he's like, yeah. He goes, I went and had it tattooed after it was signed.
Yeah, okay.
Now look, so many things go through my mind. A lot I have to leave out because we have littles. But I'll skirt around one of them, which is, at some point, this man is going to have relations with somebody else. And all over his bum are gonna be a bunch of other people's names. How do you explain that in the bedroom? Hey, listen, so like you had a great date. Imagine this, you had a great date. You and this girl or you and this guy, you got along great. Everything is smashing. Chemistry is all there. So cool. And then you make it to the bedroom. And the moment is arriving and it's time to disrobe. Now before you know, how do you broach that with this beautiful girl who currently has interest in you? And say, by the way, I've got a bunch of names from Power Rangers tattooed on my butt. Yeah. Now let's jump on the other side of this coin and be the girl. I'm sorry, what? Like now, if I was the girl, I would wait a minute to run out of the room because like a train wreck, I would still want to see it. Right? I'd be like, oh, okay, that's cool, that's cool. Could you show me? Yeah, oh my God, that is so cute. That's so cute, look at that. That one just goes from here all the way to here. That's beautiful. Who are these people again? Oh, they're color coordinated? Okay, all right. You got a black ranger, a red ranger, a yellow ranger, and it's just like an army thing? What are you talking about? And then once I saw it and listened to him stumble, then I'm pretty sure I would be like, I gotta go wash my hair. I'll catch you on the flip side. We'll have to never try this again. So the stories, he comes to my table, he says this, I'm like, no, and then he dumps the guilt trip on me, he's like, but everybody else already did it. And I'm like, damn it, man. That means I'm gonna be the one guy that didn't do it. And then I'm that guy. I mean, I feel like it was a defensible position to be in, but I still felt bad. So, I'm like, all right, fine. Definitely he paid. And he bought the pen that I was gonna use. Because I was never gonna touch anything else, including me. Yeah, I should have bought a pack of pens. So, I grabbed the pen and I'm getting ready and he's like, oh, hold on a minute. And Karen was sitting over at the table next and he goes over to Karen and starts pulling down her pants and then she leans over and sighs. I'm like, wait a minute. You told me everybody else already did this. He's like, well, she agreed, she just hadn't physically done it yet. And I'm like, so, and I looked over at Karen and Karen's looking at me and she's just like, and I went over, and so he comes over and now he's got to drop trowel, like drop the trowel. Like I'm now looking at the Holy Land. I just, look, man, the world is great. Everybody's welcome to do what they want to do. But I have never found any attraction in another man's hairy butt. So, I grabbed this pen. He's like, just, whatever you want to do, you can make it, as big as you want. I'm like, oh. So I grabbed that Sharpie, and I straight up Zorro'd both cheeks. So somewhere in the world is now Zorro, but with my name on it, and all the other Power Rangers.
I'm surprised you didn't tell me.
There's so many more.
This pertains to what you just said. How much did you charge him to sign?
A lot.
Fair enough.
It was like a lot, and my agent was there and he helped a lot. And that was before COVID, and let me tell you, I was all over that hand sanitizer.
How about this guy?
You're fine.
Oh, right there. Sorry.
What Ranger did you like playing more, the Red Ranger or the Gold Ranger?
Well, I feel like the Red Ranger was the iconic character. That's the beginning. That's the, in 40 countries and 90 languages around the world, this is where the show aired. The Red Ranger without explanation. You put the picture up, and everyone in the world knows what that is, without explanation. So the Red Ranger suit is a global icon. The Gold Ranger suit was a ton of fun. It was awesome. I loved all the bling. It looked cooler. And actually, it's the most powerful Ranger they ever created, because they took the power from 3 other Rangers and then put it into Jason, and Jason had the power of 3 Rangers at one time. No other Ranger in the history of the show has had that. So he's hands down, he was the trifecta all by himself. So the Gold Ranger, I think, was the most powerful. But the Red Ranger he's the global icon. So I think I don't know that I could pick one. Jason, whether he was red or gold, was never defeated. He was the only Ranger, as far as I know, in the history of the show to fight a monster unmorphed without any powers while in a prison. He's the only Ranger to defeat Tommy.
Better than Tommy.
He knows. So, Jason as a character is a one and done. Nobody else has some of those very same accomplishments. I think Jason's pretty special. But I love both suits.
The GOAT.
Fair enough.
We had a question.
Do you have a favorite piece of Power Rangers merchandise? And if so, what is it?
There is so much.
Or any of them, yeah, just one of your favorites.
You gotta love these questions.
Yeah.
It's great ones.
I'm thinking, because every year, Hasbro is releasing more and more and more and more and more. Did I mention more?
Yeah.
So it's hard to keep track of all of it. I think if I had to, and next week I could give you a totally different answer, I don't know. But right now, the very original Red Ranger toy from '93, I think, is when it was released. That's the one. I was sitting on set, I was 18, a producer came down, put it in my hand, and that was the first time I'd held myself in my hand in a not weird way. Y'all are twisted. I was just talking about going to the bathroom, okay? Yeah, okay. So anyway, that would probably be it. My other favorite would probably be the Pop 23 Funko, the original first red. Because now they're like, it was just the first one I saw, so it's kind of cool.
Thank you.
You kind of love like seeing yourself as a miniature. Like, I mean, that's incredible. Like,
At 18, can
Yeah.
you imagine? The producer comes down, he's like, Osteen, he was Jewish. He's like, Osteen, take a look, here is your toy. That's me. That's me. Look, that's my face. By the way, I hate the picture, why didn't you ask me? That could literally be my high school, photo. It was so terrible. But it was pretty cool.
how about this guy?
Sure, thanks. Quick comment and a question. I want to say thank you for inspiring me and so many other people. As a youth, I used to watch you do crescent, or jump crescent kick, and I was a martial artist for the same reasons, discipline and all that. And it was a huge inspiration back then. And thank you again today for inspiring me. I just learned that you were a first responder, and that's truly heroic and amazing. So thank you for that. So my question is, who inspires you?
It's a good question.
And this is where I'll piss some people off. Others will be all for it. Because as much as we talk about living in a world without discrimination, there's some things people just discriminate against. So number one, I believe in God. And I'm Catholic. And that is, number one, I think, the greatest role model for me to find a way to live, execute my life, humility at a massive scale in his story. And humility, honor, integrity, perseverance off the charts, whether you believe the story or not. It's incredible. So that would be a big one for me. Next would be my parents. My mom and dad were both walk soft, but carried very big sticks. And that was kind of what I modeled Jason after. If you think back to the episodes, Jason, he was always even-keeled. He was never angry. He never, raw, that was never his deal. He was very even-keeled. He never bucked in or bowed down to Bulk and Skull. He was even-keeled. He didn't even get angry at him. Sometimes you just look at him like your mom looks at you when you make a mistake. But other than that, Jason was always kind of here. He was the rock for the team. And I got that from my parents. There's one occasion where Jason would break all that off. And that was when everything that could be done to keep the situation from escalating was over. And it was time to go to war. And that's when he said it's morphin' time. And it's morphin' time. It wasn't a statement, it wasn't a request. It was a battle cry. It was his war cry. And that was him letting everyone know the game is now, it's now up. The gloves come off. So I got a lot of that from my parents, who could walk into a room and take command many times without saying a word. They were the people, they weren't big, they weren't imposing, but they always ruled gently, sometimes without people even knowing, because they didn't need to impose their will on others. So that is some of where I got it. And then as far as TV guys, if that's the question you're asking, man, I grew up watching Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris was just like the dude, right? Like, he was not a great actor, which is why he has the world's best one-liners. Because everything was one or two lines, you know? And so Lone Wolf, McQuaid, Invasion USA, Braddock, 1, 2, and 25, you know, those were awesome. I thought they were great. Bruce Lee, Michelle Lee, from all the Drunken Master movies and Kung Fu Masters, Jackie Chan, incredible martial artist, did his own stunts, which is why I did mine, every opportunity I could. So guys like that as far as TV goes. And if you don't know who Michelle Lee is, she's actually in the short film Black Salt that I did not film, but now I'm hoping to be involved with the new film coming up soon. She is incredible, but she tends to get overshadowed a lot by a lot of the guys in the martial arts arena. You should check out Michelle Lee. She's incredible. So anyway, that's some of how I shaped my life, shaped my characters, and my own core values and morals. And I will tell you this, I don't care what you're doing in the world, I don't care what career you're after, not that I don't care, but what I'm saying is that whatever your career is, if your career is being a mom, or being a dad, or being a supporter of your family, in whatever the best fashion you can do it, there will always be someone who is willing to take more from you than you want to give in exchange, or take something from you in exchange for you giving up some form of your morals or your ethics.
Gratitude and some thankfulness. Give it up, please.
I love making your childhoods awesome. Thank you for making my whole career.
Back to action. Thank you guys. Watch your